Each year, the Academy welcomes a commencement speaker that we hope will bring a spark to our graduates. This year, we gave the class of 2021 a ballot where they could vote for the faculty person that they wanted to give this last official address to their class. Class of 2021, you chose a teacher that has inspired and excited you in the social studies realm. Mr. Comtois has taught at the Academy for 6 years, a seasoned educator with 24 years of experience. His passion for history and for current events has been a catalyst for all of you as you sat in his classes. Here at NDA, we want all our graduates to think critically about the world around them, and this teacher has helped develop this skill in every one of you. He has been a teacher, a mentor, a skilled Model UN advisor. His classroom has been filled with lively debates, music, conversations, and much learning about our country and our world. We will miss him greatly next year as he leaves NDA, but I am so pleased to introduce the class of 2021 commencement speaker, Mr. Kevin Comtois.
I'm melting. Well, first of all, you all look beautiful. And I must say, I think I speak on behalf of the entire faculty. Tom, we're very proud that you are the first young man to graduate from NDA. Good morning, Dr. Pacifico, Dr. Flynn, faculty, staff, administration, families, friends, and of course you, the class of 21. The opportunity to speak to you today is one of the greatest honors that I've received in my 24-year teaching career. I must also say that this is one of the most terrifying moments of my entire life. You might think that a teacher has no fear speaking in front of people. Actually, one of my greatest fears has been speaking in front of people. So it made perfect sense for me to become a politician or a teacher. This will make more sense in a minute. The second greatest honor that I've had for the past 6 years is teaching at this wonderful institution and spending my time teaching you for the 2 of those years. You have made me think, you have made me laugh, and you have made me cry. Sometimes I wasn't sure if I was laughing or crying, but I think you know what I'm talking about. It's been a pretty eventful last couple of years as well. We've been through a crazy presidential election that many Americans still don't accept, a pandemic that has destroyed lives and livelihoods. Some of our NDA families seated here today lost a family member to the coronavirus. We have dealt with school and business shutdowns, stay-at-home orders, COVID testing, contact tracing, vaccine anxiety, all while attending school, taking tests, dealing with family situations. It has been a time that we will never forget, but you know what? We did it together. Hank Stram, an American football coach who won 3 AFL championships, said, quote, "As I matriculate my way down the field of life, I will never forget this moment and you, wonderful people, that have made this day possible." So once again, thanks for this great honor, and I am proud to be standing in front of all of you today. When I found out that you chose me to give the 21 commencement address, I thought about my high school and my college commencement addresses. Look, I'm melting, literally melting up here. When I tell you, I couldn't remember a darn thing that they said. So I hope that I can improve on that, and maybe you'll remember at least one thing that I say to you today. And Ashani, I hope I can give you a few more laughs before you get your diploma. As I thought about what I wanted to say this morning, I remembered the senior retreat that you had a couple of months ago when I stopped by for a visit. If you remember, I titled the short talk, "Things I Wish My Teacher Told Me." Well, today we can title this talk, "Things I Wish My Teacher Told Me 2.0. As I pondered about things I wish my teacher told me, I kept coming back to one of the greatest philosophers of all time, Yoda. For those who don't know Yoda, he was a Jedi Master a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Whether we realize this or not, that fictional character created by George Lucas expressed many ideas that are universal and will help you as you navigate your way through this trial that we call life. I ask you to take some of these things with you as you leave NDA to pursue your careers and dreams. Number one, Do or do not. There is no try. Don't ever quit. No matter how difficult the odds may appear, no matter how futile your efforts may seem to be, you can accomplish anything if you put 100% into it. Remember when we watched Mr. Smith Goes to Washington together in AP Gov? Did he quit? No. He took on the most powerful people in Washington and almost died in the process. But in the end, he was victorious. Did George Washington quit when his soldiers were starving and freezing at Valley Forge in '76? No, and he won the war. Did the Little Rock Nine give up when racists and bigots tried to prevent them from going to school? No. And we now live in a land where segregation is illegal. Persevere, stay strong, and you will succeed. Number 2, you must unlearn what you have learned. In order to be creative, you must not depend on what others have taught you. You must be inquisitive. You must think independently. You must think anew. We need fresh thinking for a new generation. Did Galileo accept the idea that the Earth was the center of the solar system? No, he questioned authority and challenged the ideas that were accepted at the time as fact. Don't allow anyone to tell you something is, quote, accepted fact. The whole point of science is theory, investigation, testing, conclusion, theory. Theorize, investigate, test, repeat, question everything. When President Eisenhower warned America about the growing military-industrial complex, he also told us not to relinquish our inquisitiveness to an elite class of scientists or so-called public policy experts. He said profoundly, we must also be alert to the equal and opposite danger that public policy could itself become a captive of a scientific, technological elite. Even President Eisenhower believed Americans should not necessarily accept the conclusions of experts, but ask questions and challenge those so-called experts. Just take it easy on your professors next year. Remember, they control your grades. Take it easy on your parents, okay? Don't forget, they had you, right? They raised you, and they're probably paying all of your bills. So be nice to your parents. Remember, you can show respect for experts while at the same time questioning all of their conclusions. Number 3, fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering, end quote. Fear is the most powerful human emotion. We've talked about this many times. I'm sure you've heard the old saying, love conquers all. But in reality, fear trumps love. We kill out of fear. We go to war out of fear. We compromise our beliefs because of fear of how others will see us. We're even tempted to cheat on an exam or a homework assignment because we're afraid of failure. We mustn't be afraid. We must not hide for cover when things get difficult. Like Franklin D. Roosevelt said, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Even the great literary and philosophical giant Ralph Waldo Emerson said, quote, he who is not every day conquering some fear has not learned the secret of life. In order to live life, you must overcome those fears. By the way, do you remember my class when those bugs started to fly around and I started to freak? Class ended, right? We had fly swatter. Obviously, I have work to do. One of the greatest first ladies in American history, Eleanor Roosevelt, said, quote, you gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. You are able to say to yourself, I have lived through this horror. I can take the next thing that comes along. You must do the thing you think you cannot do, end quote. Think about that line for a moment. You must do the thing you think you cannot do. This is a very profound statement. Don't allow fear to stop you from achieving your goals. Don't allow your own personal fears to make you hesitate from doing something. Apply to an Ivy League school. Apply for a high-paying job. Ask someone out on a date. Move to a different state. Quit your job without having a new job lined up. Wait a minute. I think I just did that. But seriously, if we can get FDR, Eleanor, Emerson, Yoda, and Kevin to agree on the negative effects of fear, there must be something to it. Number 4, the greatest teacher failure is, I can't do the Yoda voice, so I'm not going to try. As most of you know, I have 2 favorite sayings. One of them you heard me say at the end of each class for the past 2 years. Peace and love. Peace and love. Peace and love. Peace, love, and chicken grease. The other saying I don't use so much, but it is just as important. Fail with dignity. Yeah, I do. Failure is not the end. It is only beginning. Failure does not show you that you cannot do it. It only means that you need to take another shot at it. Two-time Olympic gold medaler Abby Wambach said, quote, failure is not something to be ashamed of. It's something to be powered by. Failure is the highest octane fuel your life can run on. You got to learn to make failure your fuel, end quote. Author J.K. Rowling made it pretty clear in 2008 when she said, quote, it is impossible to live without failing at something unless you live so cautiously that you might as well have not lived at all, in which case you fail by default. Learn from your mistakes. Making a mistake is not the end. It's only the beginning. I have made many mistakes in my life. I've actually told you about a few of them. Some were small and could have been easily corrected. Some were major and took me years to rectify, but I never gave up and I never gave in, and I expect you to do the same. Number 5, pass on what you have learned. I know this sounds like a contradiction of Yoda's second point, unlearn what you have learned, but it really isn't. We must learn from those that have come before us and then question this wisdom constantly. I never wanted you to believe anything I taught you, and I know a lot of you did not. That's okay. I only wanted you to learn what I have learned and then go out into the world to either confirm or deny the truth, what I taught you. Columbus unlearned the world was flat and changed the future of human civilization forever. Teddy Roosevelt unlearned what was expected of the President of the United States, and our nation has not been the same since. Martin Luther King Jr. asked us to unlearn the racism and prejudice that was passed on from generation to generation as a fact of life in America. And we now praise MLK as one of the greatest Americans of the 20th century. I ask you to take with you everything that you have learned, while at the same time not believing a word of it. Some of you may remember the first week of junior year when I told you, don't believe a word I say. I said this because I wanted you to find out for yourself. Read, listen, observe, learn, and come to your own conclusions. By learning from the past while embracing the idea that all human knowledge can be inaccurate and conclusions can change over time, you can change the world. You may be the one who cures cancer or Alzheimer's. You may be the one who discovers the ability to travel through time. You may be the one who discovers new transportation technologies to end traffic jams and pollution caused by trains, planes, and automobiles. You may discover a new energy source that can power human civilization for the next millennia. You may be the one who changes the world for the better, one little piece at a time. Which brings me to my final point this morning, the constant of change. Change is the only constant in the universe. The earth has been going through changes since its creation. Civilizations have been changing since the first village created in the Fertile Crescent of Iraq. Even the human species is always changing from one generation to another. My father used to tell me that the only sure thing in life is death and taxes. I'm sure a lot of your dads have said exactly the same thing. If my father was still alive today, I would say to him, Dad, I'd like to amend your statement. The only sure thing in life is death, taxes, and change. Now, I'm sure at this point he would say, yeah, the only change you have left is after you pay your taxes, but we'll just let that go. But here's the point. We are all going through changes as we sit here today, our nation and you. Our nation is preparing to have a permanent human base on the moon, and we are planning a human trip to Mars. Communication technology is making the world smaller and smaller. I actually taught history and government to students in China with video technology. Healthcare technology is improving where it's now normal for some of us to live to 100 years of age. Race relations are changing in the United States since the death of George Floyd, and we really have no idea what these changes will lead to. Our political rhetoric and political polarization, remember that word? Has gotten so vitriolic in the past 5 years that our elected officials can't even compromise on anything. Cancel culture is threatening the First Amendment, Socratic teaching, and our ability to express our opinion without fear of reprisal. Large technology companies like Google and Facebook are collecting and storing your personal data and using it to propagandize you, while at the same time censoring what content they deem appropriate for you to see and read. Change is happening all around us. Those are only a few of the examples. You are going through personal changes. Many of you will be leaving your families, even moving out of state. You will be changing the relationship that you have with your family. You will be meeting new people and making new friends, making a strain on those old friends and those old relationships. You will be learning new skills and ideas that may make you question your career goals, question your education plans, and even question your own personal belief system. You will be challenged in ways you cannot even imagine. You will encounter professors stuck in their ways, refusing to think outside the box. You will learn to have professors that will accept new ways, and they look at old ideas in new ways. Embrace both and learn from both of them. You will encounter wonderful people with a heart of gold and the spirit of St. Julie. You will also meet ignorant people full of hatred and bigotry. Embrace the good people with all of your heart, and please pray for the bigot. For we are all God's children, even those who are lost and need to be found. Change is inevitable. Be ready for it. Embrace the changes or fight the changes, but make a choice. Take a position. Don't stand on the sidelines of life. Take a side and argue. You have one life to live. Live it. You are an individual. Express it. You are alive. Yell it to the mountaintops. Finally, I would like to leave you with this. Everything we do in life really comes down to those 6 famous words that opened the most important document in American history. In the name of God, amen. Thank you. God bless and good luck.
Thank you so much, Mr. Comtois, for your inspirational words to the class of 2021.